name is AjalaK, and I'll be presenting to you using decision trees to explore EHR options by Wang T. Biedermann S. 2011. I have also inserted the link to the article. Kindly feel free to also explore the article as well. We'll be discussing in this agenda the abstract, the background, purpose. Decision tree will be explained, and we'll discuss the limitations and conclusions. And at the end of this presentation, there will be 5 questions which I will be responding to that will help us better understand this article. The abstract of this module. This article explains how decision tree helps support complex EHR adoption decision. And it also helps organizations to evaluate the uncertainty, the risk, and the expected outcome in a structured way. For background, the EHR, or Electronic Health Record System, or Electronic Medical Record, EMR, as we popularly call it these days, it's an adoption decision. They are complicated by high cost and uncertain outcomes. When a health institution wants to adopt an electronic system and comparing it to their legacy system, they have to choose among either purchasing, leasing, or if they should maintain the status quo by delaying implementation. Decision tree helps in making this decision. Now, the purpose of decision tree is to introduce a practical tool that it shows how probability and expected values improve decision quality, and when an institution is taking decision to either go forward with implementing a new EHR system, they cannot be influenced by guesswork or by the vendor. They have to be a structured, data-driven process. They have to evaluate the risk, the probabilities, and the expected outcome. This page for decision tree explanation. In EHR adoption, decision trees are complex and uncertain, and it involves multiple alternatives like buying, leasing, or even just staying with the status quo, and the uncertain outcomes related to cost, performance, and user adoption. Now, decision tree structures decision visually. It uses the visual, the circle and the branches and the square, and makes it easier to analyze and see in visually the risk, the reward that is associated with any of the option. And this model also uses the expected value calculation. It multiplies outcomes by their probability to compare alternative objectively. The article demonstrates the change in probability or outcome estimate, and it's the significant change for, it highlights the importance of careful estimation and sensitivity analysis. Decision tree can also handle multiple layers of decisions, such as the post-lease option or improvements or even replacement decisions, and it makes it flexible for real-world scenarios. Now, after reading this using decision tree article, I learned that decision tree are a powerful tool for helping healthcare organizations make complex decisions about EHR adoption. And the main takeaway for me is that the EHR decision should not be based on guesswork or vendor influence, but instead on structured, data-driven process that evaluates risk, probability, and expected outcomes. This article is from 2011, so I would say that some of the information are partially outdated in terms of its policy and technology context, but it's still very relevant conceptually because it referenced the meaningful use of incentive program and all of this, which has evolved into the PI program under the CMS, which is the promoting interoperability. And also in modern times, as at this year, we now have modern EHR decision that now lays stronger emphasis on the interoperability and data exchange, ransomware risk, cybersecurity. We have the cloud-based and the SaaS EHR solutions. We also now that we have AI for that makes clinical decisions and also provides support. However, for my takeaway here is that decision tree methodology itself still remains current and still widely applicable because the framework that helps to evaluate the uncertainty and the expected value is still used today in healthcare informatics and operation management, and it gives that visual implementation on how institutions are able to decide and make a visual view of the probability and the outcomes in decision making and implementing the EHR system. In conclusion, decision tree provides a structure-driven approach to EHR decision, and it also helps organizations to compare alternative and manage risk. And I'm just going to be answering the questions like I mentioned earlier of the 5 takeaway questions for this decision tree article. And question 1 is most important takeaway from the article. I did put some in italics here. I did summarize, but I will go a little bit in depth briefly. And the most important takeaway from this article is that decision tree protocol, effective decision support tools for evaluating complex EHR adoption under uncertainty, and by combining probabilities and expected values, it helps healthcare to compare alternative, from purchasing as mentioned earlier, or just staying with the data score, or just even delaying or implementing a new one, or even leasing. And question number 2 is what important facts support the takeaway message, which is EHR adoption they're very complex and uncertain, so it helps to it helps to understand and visualize the outcome, the related cost, the performance, or in even the user's adoption. And it also the article demonstrates the changing probabilities of outcome and estimates take it significantly. And question number 3 is, do I think this article is outdated? If so, what is more up to date? Yes, the article is from 2011, so it is partially outdated in terms of policy and technology context, but still relevant, concept-wise. It's reference meaningful use of the incentive, which has since evolved into the promoting interoperability PI program under the CMS. Now, modern EHR decision place stronger emphasis on the cybersecurity, ransomware risk, cloud-based, and AI-assisted clinical decision. However, decision tree itself remains current and widely applicable. The analytical framework for evaluating uncertainty, trade-off, and unexpected value is still used today in healthcare informatics and operation management. And for question number 4, it says, how does this article ties into content for this lesson? Well, it's directly support lesson related content related to the HIS system selection, the cost benefits and risk analysis, and data-driven management decisions. And as mentioned here, it reinforces the concept by showing how statistical reasoning and decision analysis are applied in real healthcare scenario. And the last question is, how I can apply what I learned on the job situation. Well, it helps me I can use it to support leadership decision and evaluating technology investment, and also communicating complex decisions visually. Overall, the article provides a transferable decision-making skill that is valuable well beyond EHR selection. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. Please check the link for the article.